Recently I've been having trouble with my creative work. I've been feeling stuck, so to speak, on all my projects. Like my ROM hack. For a solid month or so, I was on a roll, I was writing and inventing for it pretty much every day, but then I just kinda stopped. I haven't really worked on it in a few weeks now. I have a few other back burner video projects in mind that I just can't seem to work up the motivation to work on quite yet. Like I want to talk about all these indie SRPGs that have been coming out recently. I'm not really sure how. I have a bunch of funny Marvel Rivals clips I want to turn into something. Don't really know what yet. But the big thing that's been looming over me is this Hack Awards video. So in case you don't know, there was a voting survey put out a couple months ago by my friend Atlas, and from the start, he wanted someone to make a big video project announcing the results. He hit me up, and I was like, hell yeah, that sounds really fun, let's do it! But over the course of the past, over a month, it just seems like every day I sit down in front of my computer, I try to get progress on it, because I want to work on it. This is what I desire in my heart of hearts, but then I just can't seem to lock in, because I don't want to work on anything else, because I've told people that it's going to come out by the end of February, and, well, I mean, look at the time right now. Look at the day. And make no mistake, I've been making bits and pieces of progress here and there, but I'm slow, I'm getting distracted. Something about it is keeping me from just doing it. I do one or two small things, it feels draining really quickly, I step away for a bit, work on something else, maybe take a break, like maybe a nap, and then I come back to it later. That normally works wonders for me. It just hasn't really been helping. I sit back down on my computer and I struggle in the exact same way, so whatever problem I normally have isn't being fixed. Like that's not the problem I'm having. Sometimes you just have a rough day, yeah, but this has been going on for weeks now, so whatever the problem is, something needs to change. I need to do something differently. I can't keep beating my head against a brick wall. Now this might come off as a little like, oh, woe is me, have sympathy for my plight, but that's not what I'm going for. I want to, first of all, be transparent about where I've been and what I've been doing this whole time where I haven't uploaded in like a month, and just be open about the fact that I'm having these issues right now. Secondly, I want to explore what my problems may have been to try to see if I can find possible solutions. And third, if you've been having similar problems, maybe this will help you. Maybe not, I don't know. Again, I'm just sort of like, I'm spitballing. I'm throwing spaghetti at the wall right now, and we're seeing what sticks to the wall. Now, there are a few possibilities I can think of for what the cause might be. It could be something about the project itself and just like how public it is and how much expectation there is for it. Like, we announced it, it had surveys and stuff, it's a whole big thing I'm collaborating with other people about, and now people are waiting for it with like a release date. And that's exactly the kind of situation where I tend to freeze up a bit, where I go, oh no, everyone's watching, oh jeez. Why'd I turn into Morty there? Morty, you have to work on the Hack Awards, Morty. If you don't, you're a fake content creator, Morty. You're a fake YouTuber. Your 1,000 of 100 subscribers will be very upset at you, Morty. You have to do it. A lot of times I just put it on the back burner for a bit. That's what I did for the Darkstone and Curse of Lagdo video. I first started working on that back last year, September, but then I got early access to the Years of Division demo. I worked really hard on that video, so then it would be done by the time the public demo dropped. Then I was working on the FEE3 video while that event was still recent, you know? And then Rivals came out, and I wanted to make a montage video of that, and a bunch of other stuff. Basically, it just kept falling to the wayside. But I didn't want to do that to this one because, again, we had a specific deadline. We wanted it done by late February, so then at first we were like, let's just push it to first week of March, and now it's just kind of in a nebulous space of unfinished. This is most of the reason why I've been trying to brute force this specific thing for as long as I have. The weird thing is that having a deadline and other people relying on me to hit that deadline normally helps me to get stuff done. Because if it's just me setting a deadline for myself, how am I gonna enforce it? I could just not do it. Having someone else there to tell me to do it helps me get in the mental space I need to lock in and get it done. But this normally applies to when I have an employer, and if I don't hit that deadline, there will be consequences for them and for me. Honestly, I think Atlas has just been so understanding and cool about it that it's not the same. And yeah, to be clear, I've talked about this with Atlas. He's been super chill about it and understanding, and play his demo. Alternatively, it might not be this specific project's fault, it might just be where I'm at in life right now, and what I mean by that encapsulates a few things. First of all, I've been working with my psychiatrist to try to get the dosage on my ADHD meds just right. Before, it felt a little too low, and then when we raised it, it was a little too high, and that time has come with a few difficulties. Now we've hit a middle ground with it, and hopefully that'll help. And of course, other than my ADHD, my depression, and especially my chronic pain condition come with their own challenges too, especially when they both really start to act up around the December to February range. Even at my peak condition, it can still be hard for me nowadays to continue working for 5 to 6 hours straight, whether that be mentally or physically. After a while, either my brain will start to wear down and I can't form complicated thoughts that are required for planning and editing a 20-minute long video, or even longer than that sometimes, or I will start to get this like aching pain in my arms or legs or back sometimes, and I just physically can't stand to be in my chair anymore. Besides this, my mood recently has just been not stellar, even other than, world events that you've heard about even if you've been living under a rock. I've also been very discouraged by my job search. I've been pretty vocal about this. It's been going on for almost a year now with no luck. After a long while of applying for remote video editor positions, I finally started applying to just local places to have any income, and I recently got rejected for a gas station position after I had what I thought was a really nice interview. And look, I get it. I'm sure they just found someone whose schedule works better or something, but that doesn't feel awesome to experience. The last big cause I can think of is just, to put it in the most elegant way possible, my brain is weird. Let me explain. So you may have heard the term hyperfixations before. How it affects each person is kind of different, but generally it is an intense long-term interest or focus on a specific thing. It could be a task, a hobby, a piece of media like a movie or video game, that sort of thing. I get these a lot, but where for some people this is like a short-term thing, where you just get absorbed into something so much that you lose track of time or forget to eat. I don't get that nearly as often. I'm talking about a very long-term interest in something, and I want as many things I do to involve that thing as possible. Does that make sense? I've gotten these as early as I can remember. My very first hyperfixation was Pokemon, back when I was probably 6 years old. That one lasted for, I think, 4 years, maybe 5 years. And when that hyperfixation died, it took me a while to realize I wasn't interested anymore. It was a few good years up until I think Pokemon Sun to realize hey, I've continued asking for Pokemon stuff for Christmas, but I haven't really been using them. But for those 4 to 5 years, I would just not shut up about Pokemon. It's like I could only talk about Pokemon. It must have been exhausting. Another early one I had was Bakugan, if you remember that. Man, Bakugan was peak. Minecraft was another one I had in middle school, junior high. Team Fortress 2 was another in junior high, early high school, and it's one of my most played games on my Steam account. There's more I could list, Fire Emblem is definitely one. Elden Ring / Dark Souls is a relatively smaller one. I think you get the point. After I started the channel back up for realsies last March, I was pretty laser focused on it for a while. I was working on video stuff pretty much every day, but I've noticed myself slow down, particularly since January hit. There was a good half a year, right, where I kept getting ideas for videos I wanted to make faster than I could even make them. I had a list on my phone notes that I'd be updating constantly, and it was just expanding and expanding and expanding. And I always wanted to be working on one so I could make more stuff and share more of my creativity and my thoughts, and I just haven't been feeling that as much recently. And part of that might be creative burnout, because again, I've been slowing way down with ROM hacking and writing scripts and pretty much everything creative. Plus, I've just been working on more calculated stuff recently, filling out job applications, revising my resume. I've had a bunch of appointments over the course of the past month or so. Overall, my headspace has just been suited to a completely different kind of work during the day, even though I want to be creative and I'm trying to be creative. Then during the evening, once I'm out of work hours, I'll hop into a game and get really into it, which that is something I actually haven't done for a long while, at least not often and not out of the context of me making a video about it. I spent a long while just not really gaming and working on videos, writing scripts, and again, even working on my ROM hack. The gaming shift kinda started when Marvel Rivals first dropped, and then I played a bunch of Spiritfarer, which is a really beautiful game. Then Those Who Rule dropped, and Astral Throne dropped, and I've just been wanting to play those, and I've been wanting to play a lot of games recently. And while that's happening, I just have to wonder why I haven't been able to summon that kind of mental energy for video making, like I used to every single day, a lot of times even over weekends. So in short, I suspect that my hyperfixations have shifted away from video making and more back into just spending time gaming, which is really frustrating, actually, and not what I wanted to have happen. And there comes a point where you have to try to not feed that hyperfixation to try to wrangle it in a new direction, but I just don't really know how to do that. And all my attempts to do that have just led to me floundering in place for over a month. So now that we've been over some of the issues, what are some of the possible solutions to this conundrum? Well, I'm gonna be honest, I'm not really sure. I don't really know. It's possible that I just need to take a break. But then there's like the whole reason I haven't done that yet, which is what about the Hack Awards? What about the deadline we had set up? I didn't want to just ignore it. I was the person who told Atlas originally, like, yeah, late February gives me more time than I'll ever need. Then oopsie doopsie. And, you know, it feels bad to just let everyone out to dry. Maybe I'll have more luck wrangling it back in, you know, once all my meds are sorted out. Maybe once I actually manage to land a job, I can build back my creative juices. Maybe we just need to get out of winter time. It makes all my disabilities worse. Maybe this is a problem specific to the Hack Awards and the scale of the project. Maybe a hyperfixation I had on video making just went away and I would need to wrangle it back in somehow. I'm not really sure. Now, what does this mean for all my viewers? And I want to stress, I really appreciate everyone for watching my stuff. I'm really glad you enjoy it. I'm glad everyone's subscribing and all that. It really means a lot to me. This has been a dream of mine for a long time, and it's really cool to see this, like, start to take off. All that being said, the Hack Awards video is just gonna have to come out when it's done. I'm gonna have to put it off for some time. I'm sorry. This genuinely makes me really upset to have to do. I just don't really have any other realistic options for all the reasons I've kind of laid out. Other than that, I'm gonna try to work on some other projects in the meantime, maybe less intensive stuff like this, and get back to it later. I have some ideas. We'll see if I'm able to, like, you know, work on them and get them out there. I want to. I need to stress, I want to so badly. And to anybody I've already contacted about making a trailer for the Hack Awards or collaborating with me for it in some other way, you all have a lot more time, I guess. If I really need you, I'll DM you directly. Now, with all that said, I want to hear everybody else's thoughts, particularly if you have any similar experiences where you felt stuck, maybe creatively, maybe in just like a life sense. Like you were in a funk that you just like couldn't like shake yourself out of with brute force, and I want to know how you got yourself out of it, or at least like mitigated the problem. I'd really like to hear about that in the comments if you have anything to share. I think it might be helpful to me or maybe other people. Again, I don't know, maybe not. It's something new to try, and I like hearing about people's experiences, and I like hearing that maybe you resonated with some of the words I said up until this point. Thank you all for understanding. I'm gonna keep doing my best. I really, really appreciate the patience everyone has for me. And the last thing I want to say is, I noticed something a few days ago that's driving me crazy. So I got food recently from this place called Lee's, but apparently the full name is Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken. What is recipe chicken? How is it different from normal chicken? I could have sworn for years it was just Lee's Famous Chicken, and I knew they had rebranding recently, so I thought maybe they just added the word recipe during the rebrand, but I can't find any old images without the word recipe in it. Like, apparently it's just been there the whole time, and I just never noticed. But that doesn't explain. Is it supposed to be famous recipe dash chicken, or is it famous dash recipe chicken? Because neither of them makes sense to me. And it's like, what is recipe chicken? Morty, you have to work on the Hack Awards, Morty.